Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Nurhaimat Sedia. I will explain the journal which the title is Increasing Students' English Reading Comparison through Fiction Novel, Text, and Extensive Reading Class by Rifai Baron and Sufi Alawiyah. The first material is abstract. The purpose of the study was to determine the effectiveness of fiction novel text in improving students' English reading comparison skills. This study used an experimental approach using a wide-group pre-test and post-test design. The sample of this research was postgraduate students of the English Education Study Program at Indraprastha University, Jakarta. There were 50 students involved in the research processes. The process of collecting data using tests and observations. The data that has been obtained will be tested for normality level using the Kolmogorov-Simonev test and the data homogeneity test using the analysis of variance test with a confidence level 0.05. Data that has been declared normal and homogeneous is then processed using a two-sample paired t-test for the average. The result shows the t-chart, t-table. This means that novel texts have a positive influence on students' reading comprehension and that for literal, inferential, and critical understanding. This finding has implications for lecturers that the learning researches provided by the problem faced can have a good impact on student learning outcomes. The next material is Introduction. The process of reading comprehensions for students in tertiary institutions has a different purpose than the high school level. Reading comprehensions is important not just for understanding the text, but for broader learning, success in education, and employment. And this even important for our social life because of email, text, and social networking sites. Reading comprehension is a complex task which requires the orchestration of many different cognitive skills and abilities. Therefore, learning to read must pay attention to the achievement of goals in context and learning outcomes. In tertiary institutions, students must have a level of understanding ability up to a critical stage. As the results of one-year learning evaluation in the 2022 and 2023 academic year concluded that 1. The level of students' reading comparison in English was still dominated by inferential comparisons. 2. Students did not understand the meaning of the reading context. And 3. The students did not yet show an interesting reading process. And the last, students still have difficulty in determining the meaning of the words in the text. From the result of interviews with 25 students who were conducted at the end of the 2022 and 2023 odd-semester lecture, it was concluded that students like non-academic reading material or literary genre. From the findings of this problem, a breakthrough solution is needed related to the improving reading comprehension skills in English. Thus, this study examines more deeply the effectiveness of literary works in the form of novels to improve English reading comprehension skill. The novel is light reading material, easy to understand, interesting and authentic, and related to everyday life. In addition, literary texts provide authentic and engaging material for language learners, expose them to different cultures and ways of life, and help them develop cultural awareness and understanding. So, it is assumed that a novel can improve students' reading skills. The next material is Methodology of Research. The topic is Method of Research. This is an experimental approach that used a one-group pre-test and post-test designs. The quasi-experimental research was conducted in only one group, known as the experimental group with no comparison or control group. The research design of the one-group pre-test and post-test design was measured using a pre-test administered before treatment and a post-test administered after treatment. So, in this study, the novel text is used to improve students' English reading comprehension. Next is participants. The sample of this research was postgraduate students of the English Education Study Program at University in the Prestige Jakarta. There are 50 students involved in the research process. The research was carried out between March and May of 2023. Next is data collection technique. The process of collecting data is used tests and observation. The test gave to the students before and after using the novel text. The English reading comparison test assessed the reading comparisons, namely, first, literal understanding related to the process or retelling or recalling facts or information presented in the text. And second, inferential understanding related to the reader's ability to retrieve information that is inferred or implied in the text. And the third is critical understanding related to reasoning abilities and critical judgment on text. The form of the text is given in multiple choice questions, which is contain three aspects of reading comparisons. While observations is used to know students' activities in the teaching and learning process. Next is data analysis. The data that has been obtained will be tested for its normative level using the Kolmogorov and Smirnov test and the data homogeneity test using the analysis of variance test within a confidence level 0.05. Data that has been declared normal and homogeneous is then processed using a parity test of two samples for means. Next is result and discussion. This extensive reading class uses a type of fiction novel to improve English reading comprehension. The use of fiction novels is based on the reason that fiction novels describe the imagination of the author, which is made to target the emotion of the reader so that the reader can have a message or moral message in the story he reads. In addition, fiction novels also often have vocabulary that has difficult meanings, and it can develop readers' understanding not only literally but also in context. As we can see in the table 1, describes the achievements of the success levels of English reading comprehensions for each component of reading comprehension and presents the development from before and after being given treatment by English learning reading comprehension using novel text. From the initial findings of the problem, that is, the lowest level of critical understanding has increased quite well because the percentage level is considered high after being given treatment. The average value also shows a pretty good increase. In the table 2, the average score from the pre-test to the post-test has increased to 38.24 and has entered a very good grade. The highest score obtained was 93 and the lowest score was 72. The two scores indicated that students have made quite good progress in understanding English reading. The value of the t-test result also shows an increase in English reading comparisons. The average scores from the pre-test to the post-test has increased to 38 and 24 and has entered a very good grade. The highest score obtained was 93 and the lowest score was 72. The two scores indicated that students had made quite good progress in understanding English reading. The value of the t-test result also shows an increase in English reading comparisons. The result of the observations on the process of teaching and learning also shows a change in students' reading habits. The results of these findings also found several benefits from the use of literary texts in improving English reading comparisons, including 1. Students' better understanding of how to apply the contextual meaning of reading text into their daily life. And two, students can develop contextual meanings from literary text related to critical thinking skills and has an impact on problem-solving patterns in learning to read English. And three, students can have a habit of reading academic text. And four, students can develop their reading comparisons in a critical reading framework. So, reading comparisons become very important, which can also have a big influence on reading patterns and critical thinking patterns. These findings make a very big contribution to teachers regarding the importance of students' reading comparison skills because in addition to being able to understand the context of meaning from reading sources, this can also influence reading comparisons as a learning research for other subjects. The last is conclusion. The results of the study concluded that there was a significant influence of novel text on improving English reading comparisons. This can be seen from the average test scores which increased before being given treatment, and the t-test has also showed a positive effect on English reading comparisons before and after treatment. This finding has implications for lecturers that the learning sources provided by the problem faced can have a good impact on student learning outcomes. So, the result of this study recommends that lecturers be able to understand the essence of the problem of learning English reading comprehensions to be able to provide the right solution as in this study related to learning resources. That's all from me. I hope this video will have many advantages for who watched this. Thank you and wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.